All right. Happy to have this next gentleman on the show on the 101 Card Shop guest line. This is his third appearance. I think we should just call this Sports Card Nation with John and Blake, or I'll give them hot billing
Yeah.
Blake and John. But a man that needs really no introduction, artist extraordinaire, Blake Jamieson. Blake, welcome back.
Thanks, man. Thanks, John. Good to see you again.
Yeah, good to see you. So, uh, man, you got so much going on. It's almost like where do I start? But I'll start with I know it's a topic you've talked probably at nauseum about, but it was a huge success of 2020, and that's the project 2020. It came to a close about a month ago. Just some of your thoughts as that's kind of in the books.
Yeah. Man, it was an awesome year. Exceeded my expectations. I think it exceeded everyone's expectations. So it was definitely a success in my book. I think it was really fun to develop relationships with some of the other artists, see art kind of evolve, see my own art evolve throughout the 20 cards. I think that my last card, Bob Gibson, was one of my strongest. Visually, I think it was probably the strongest. My favorite was still Mark McGuire just because I love that card. But I think that's really cool to have like my last card be my kind of favorite one, stylistically speaking. And that's great kind of with the momentum rolling into 1951 set and Project 70 and so forth. It was pretty surreal to, submit my final card to Topps. Once I like clicked send, that was like, a moment. And then it was when I got the last cards from Top, I actually got them in the mail and opened them all up and looked for the gold and didn't find it. But that was the last Topps 2020 boxes I will open. And yeah, it's just it's wild, man. Just did launch my last autographs doing the autos on the Bob Gibson cards. So it's been it was a really fun year.
Yeah, and I know obviously every piece of that project that you did, they're all your babies, and I think anyone can understand that you have a personal connection with McGuire, so there's sentimentality there. Here's probably a question. I don't know if you've been asked this before, kind of a different question. They're all great works of art, obviously. Is there one like like if you could have a mulligan? I'm not saying you would, but if you had to pick one now that it's all said and done, and like, hey, I wish I would have did that, or now that I know, that sort of thing, I'd change it up.
Good question. I don't know. I think Willie Mays. Willie Mays is in my 1951 set too, so I did get to do him again. So it was really fun doing that again. And actually, I can't remember. It might have actually been the same reference photo. It's definitely a very different looking card. So I guess if I have to choose one, I'll choose Willie.
Okay.
But I did kind of get a mulligan with my next set and did it again.
Yeah.
So I think it's fun to, like I said, like watching the art evolve is part of the magic.
Yeah, and I've always said, as someone's been in the hobby a long, long time, while it came to the forefront this year, art's always been a huge part of cards, and from the photography end to even the cards like the traditional ones like the 53, where art was a huge part. It's nice to see it kind of take the forefront again and get back in the spotlight and that sort of thing. Speaking of the art world, one of the things this project did is sort of merge those two worlds, the art world and the hobby world. How much now that it's over and like again in the books, how much of an impact? I mean, the hobby, arguably the best year in hobby history, but how much did it affect, do you think, being you come from the art side, did it trickle into the art side? In other words, people that weren't necessarily card collectors became from that world, got into the hobby.
Sure. I think a bunch of my art collectors started collecting the baseball cards, and that's fun. And some of them had grown up collecting cards and then fallen out of the hobby for a while. And some had never collected baseball cards ever, and they have gotten into it. So that was a fun bridge to get across. And now, with the other sets, I feel like I have a really strong collector base, both from the hobby and also from like my art collector side.
Yeah. No, I think we've seen some of that crossover, if you will, probably even both ways. I know people, have bought some of your other works prior to Project 2020 that were from the card side. So that's great to hear those stories. Before we get into the 51s, let's talk about Project 70. It hasn't officially launched yet. If I know I talked to you real briefly before we came live, and if three people describe it, and you don't know what's accurate, what it is, and that. So I'll let someone on the inside, as much as you can say,
Sure.
kind of describe what the project is going to be about.
No problem. Well, Project 70, which was just announced by Topps, is kind of the next evolution of Project 2020. So I think there was a lot of really cool things that happened because of Project 2020, and some of that was like shining light on a lot of amazing artists that could have potentially been involved in a set like this. And so now this time around, we have more artists, which is really exciting. I'm excited. I don't even know who they all are yet. But Lauren Taylor is a great example. She's someone that I think would have done great in Project 2020. Now she's in Project 70, and I think that she's going to kill it. Similarly to Project 2020, we're each going to be designing 20 cards, which means the set's going to be pretty big. As far as I know, we're going to be at the same price point as Project 2020 was. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I think we're going to be in that. I think it's going to be 130 point cards again. Same price point. Since there are more artists, I believe they're also doing 3 cards per day, Monday through Friday, instead of 2. We'll start with 3. And one of the big differences, and this I think is really the most fun difference, is us artists get to choose our subjects. And then after we choose our subjects, we get to choose the reference photos that we use to create the art, to create our cards. And we also get to choose kind of inspiration, because this whole set is highlighting 70 years of Topps creating baseball cards. And so we are drawing inspiration from all 70 years of Topps kind of flagship card designs. And so, for example, I've got my first card is a modern player, but I'm doing him in the style of a 1959 card. And so it's going to be really fun. It's a lot different from Project 2020 because we have so much freedom and flexibility to choose our subjects, that like every artist I've talked to, we all have a lot of the Mike Trouts, the Jeters, Griffey. Like I think those ones are going to be common and in a lot of people's sets, but there's also like so much opportunity for having very unique, cards. Like there's a couple that I chose that I hope out of all the artists, like I'm the only person that chooses those players, but who knows?
I'm going to venture a guess. We're going to see a McGuire.
You will see a McGuire.
But one thing that the Project 2020 bore out with you is you're very interactive with the hobby, with the fans, and the beautiful thing about this project is you can pick the subject of your choice, and that's nice. I think that's going to be very refreshing. I think, like you said yourself, I think that's what's going to separate it from Project 2020. Do you see, or maybe you already know the answer to this, do you think it'll be where you'll say, hey, I got these 3 guys I'm thinking, and almost let the hobby or the people kind of vote on maybe who you select, or are you allowed to do that?
Unfortunately, all of us artists have already turned in all of our selections.
Oh, okay.
All right. My 20 are locked in. Sorry, it's really loud on my corner. That's
okay.
Yeah, so that part, and same thing with the reference photos too. I've already chosen all those and sent those to Top, sent the requests for the licensing, and then they've gotten me the high-res images. So we're pretty far along. And I'm also thinking with this project, different from Project 2020, is I'm going to try and get my cards done well in advance rather than doing it up until right before it's due. I've already finished 2 cards so far, and I'll probably do a third by Monday. And so I'll have 3 already done out of 20, which is really cool since, none of them will have launched yet, and I'll be kind of hopefully
Yeah.
smooth sailing.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that. One I was blessed and fortunate enough to have 10 of the Project 2020 artists on the show, and
Wow.
I won't mention them because I don't know if it would get him in trouble. I don't. He didn't say it on the air, but one of the artists, said that he had all 20 done uh like pretty quickly in,
Yep.
like, but he also said, hey, there was a few that I went back and did enhancements on, or there even mentioned one that I just kind of redid it after I looked at it. I didn't like it. I went back to the drawing board. And so it's funny hearing the different artists, their approach to the project is, no two are really alike. You have your own quirks and attention to detail and how you operate and do things, and that's what I think separates a lot of the artists too. So
Yeah.
but it's nice to hear that you can kind of pick your subjects, and I think that makes it more fun to you. Not that it wasn't fun to do, but now that you have that selection, that you can make it, it opens it up a little bit more for the artist. I'm hearing a rumor. I don't know if you can confirm or deny it. One of the early reports was Snoop Dogg is involved in Project 70.
Yeah, as far as I know, that is true.
Okay.
But until Topps puts out the master list,
Yeah.
I never know. But as far as I know, I believe that to be true, which would be, I think, really exciting. It's
Yeah.
really cool.
Yeah, that would be different. I think that'll be, obviously that's a huge name across the entertainment, music, and now if it goes into the art, music is art, so you can call them an artist already in a different form. And now getting into the card aspect would be interesting to see what comes out there amongst all the artists too. Do you have like a number of how many artists may be involved?
I have no idea. I just know it's more than 20.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, I mean, I really, I don't know. And I'm antsy for Topps to put out the list because I want to start reaching out, and making friends with all the artists. And selfishly for me, I know it's tough on collectors to keep track of, but I think the more the better. Seeing more variety, more inspiration would be really cool. And I'm probably going to end up, I don't think I'll do a full set, but I will do probably quite a few of the artists,
Yeah, and you mentioned something I definitely on my list to talk about. You've become a content creator in your own right. You do lives, I believe it's Monday, Wednesday, Friday. You have conversations and interactions with many of the artists, even artists outside, obviously, of the Project 2020 that just finished. And what your thoughts on people who don't do podcasts or live video don't realize some of the time commitment and the work that goes into it. And here you're doing that and the artwork and everything else. I mean, I don't know when you sleep, but speak to a little bit of the content creation side of what you do. And I think it's number one. I want to kudos to you. I think it's great. I've watched a lot of it myself, and to see two artists kind of banter back and forth. It's definitely interesting. But speak to kind of what it what you thought of before you kind of jumped in. Was it just your overall opinion in doing it?
Yeah. Well, I've always known that sharing content is important. I worked in digital marketing and content marketing prior to becoming an artist, so I kind of had that. I've had that like built into my business strategy from the start. With the live streaming, it was not intentional to become such like a big part of my content platform as it did, but I did a live stream painting my Ricky Henderson card pretty early in the project last year, and people just really responded really well to it. And so that was enough motivation to just keep doing it. And for a while I was doing it every day. And then finally we started to get some structure. So every Monday was Mail Monday. And Fridays was artist interviews, and Wednesdays was usually painting something. It's good because I could oftentimes double dip between like creating live content, sharing the process with the fans, but also doing the work that needs to be done. So whether it's painting, like the Ricky Henderson card, or cutting one of the stencils, or signing cards to get ready to ship them out. So it was a fun way to engage the audience and also like provide them with a consistent, like, it's live, so it's real time. They get to know what's going on behind the scenes a little bit. And then on top of that, my team also, like, we've filmed everything from the beginning, and we still film every day. And a lot of that footage has never been seen by anyone but us. And some of it hasn't even been seen. We've never even watched it back. So that's another thing that we're going to do this year is we're going to start putting out some more produced and edited content from that footage. And that's going to be exciting because then I think we're really going to be able to tell that whole story much more than what people just saw on Instagram or even on the live streams.
Yeah, the archive, and you touch on another thing. I believe. I mean, I hope I'm not disrespect. You were the first one involved in the project that really sort of opened that door and got that buzz. I'll say it. Whether you give yourself credit, I'll give it to you. I think you started some of the buzz on that project. I mean, I think the work obviously speaks for itself, but as far as the social media side of it, you really got that thing rolling, and I think a lot of the success of the project can be pointed back at you doing that. When no one else did it first, you really were the first one, and so credit there for doing that.
Thank you.
So
you're welcome. I think because of my background in digital marketing, rather than like going to art school and the technical training, I think part of the reason that I've been able to have, moderate levels of success as an artist is because I try to play to my strengths. And so, in this case, I know that I'm probably better at social media marketing than I am at painting some things. And to me, that's okay. I continuously want to get better at both. But if I do the best I can at painting and do the best I can at marketing, and that helps get the word out, then, seems to be a formula that's working so far.
Yeah. No, you've really kind of come to the forefront and taken the lead, and I think it's been wonders for the project, and I think it's led. I mean, whether I think it's led into some of these other projects we're seeing now, and the one you're working on, that's your baby. I want to talk about that. That's the Topps 51s. Before we get into it, Blake's been generous enough. He's going to give a Wave 3 box to one lucky listener later on in this interview. I'm going to give you a contest word. When you hear that contest word, get that back to me on any social media. Keep it private unless you want to compete with the everybody, give it away for free. Message me that contest word. I'll put everyone that does on a list. We'll randomize it. Whoever's on the top will be the lucky winner of a Wave 3 box, courtesy of Blake. So Blake, first off, thank you for doing that. I appreciate that. And so let's talk about, when did this when did you know this was something that you might be doing, timeline wise?
Sure. Well, when Topps, really, I guess it was like around Memorial Day, right? When the Project 2020 was just a rocket ship. It was like a bubble that would never burst. It was like around then, I think, that Topps started talking to us artists about working together on future projects. And it was a long time of just kind of casually over email, spitballing ideas back and forth. One of the early ideas that we were talking about was doing like a T206 set myself, like my own wave. And I thought that was a really cool idea. I love like those the vintage cards. I think are really fun, and artistically that's like fun to work with. And so the first I thought it was going to be that, and I actually created quite a few paintings in that space, partially to be ready just in case that got approved. when that didn't, one of the ideas that Topps came back with was the 1951 set and kind of giving it a facelift for 70 years later in 2021. So it's cool because those cards are, out for anyone watching the video, it's a very prominent, headshot portrait, and then there's a small figure up in the corner, but most of the card content is this portrait. And I think that plays well to my style of art and the evolution and kind of direction that my cards are going. So it made a lot of sense. And it's also fun, getting the first product of 2021 for Topps to launch, before the Series 1 baseball and all the other stuff that we have to look forward to this year.
Yep, and I haven't. I've obviously seen it. I've ordered all 3 waves that can be ordered right
Thank
now.
you.
Some to open, some to put away, maybe for a rainy day. Yeah,
Yep.
and I haven't got the first wave yet. But it's funny, like seeing the smaller cards. When I was younger in the hobby, I didn't like smaller cards. I noticed the older I get, my tastes have sort of changed, and I've got a thing for like Topps did the new 206s, and I've acquired even some of the originals where like I've kind of they kind of grew on me, and actually I actually like them if they're done done well. And so it's interesting to see some of those different size cards kind of come back into prominence in today's generation. And if you would have asked me 10 years ago, I probably would say, I don't like smaller cars. I'm not interested. And yet here we are, and I'm all in. So, how would you say it's going so far? Are you happy with, what's going on right now?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's great. I think one thing that Topps did, I think very well on this set is the price. So
Yeah.
it's $20, just like the Topps 2020 cards, but you're getting the full wave of 13 cards for $20. So it's 13 times cheaper than the Topps 2020. And so I think that's been helpful for getting, hopefully getting new people kind of involved in the set. The print runs have been really solid. The latest print run for Wave 2, which just was released yesterday, is 7,725, which is great. The first week was 7,679. Yeah, wow. So it even did better in Wave 2, which is, I think, really cool. It's fun to see that momentum.
And the price point, you nailed it. I mean, it's great. I mean, you're looking at 13 cards. That's less than $1.50 a card, and don't sleep on the fact there are parallels in this thing. You could get
cards.
Yeah, so you can get a numbered card, and so that's an added an enhancement as far as and at a $20 price point for 13 cards. I mean, if anyone argues with that, I don't know what to tell them. So
it's going to be hard for me not to open all of them because I got to go. With Project 2020, I didn't get any cards from Topps for free, but I did get a discount to buy them.
Yeah.
But I still had to buy them during the same window everyone else does. This time around, I was able to negotiate. I get 100 sets for free, and that's included in the print run.
Yeah.
But I have 100 boxes to open, but I get no discount. So if I want to buy more, I'm paying $20 just like everyone else. So the first wave, I didn't order any extra. The second wave, I ordered a couple extra because I feel like once they come and I just start ripping them open, I'm going to want to open them all,
Yeah, yeah. Well, I without having them in hand, just from the gallery and the spec sheets, and I mean, it's going to be fun for me to open some. Like you said, I might have to, as soon as I get them, the ones I don't plan on, I just got to hide them. Otherwise, if they're visible, I might be tempted to. But and you are one of the subjects in this set, by the way, yourself. You have a card. Speak to that.
Yeah, so it's the same art that's on the box of the cards. We decided to make an artist chase card, and so for each wave there will be 100 of those printed, numbered 1 to 100, and then I think in each wave, like, they're going to have a different color back. So there were red backs, blue, green, and gold. So I think there are going to be 100 of each of those colors. which is really cool. So there'll be like 400 Topps cards of me in circulation total.
Yeah. So
And
you'll be chasing your own
I will be
insert,
chasing as
your
many
own
as I can.
parallel.
Absolutely.
That's funny. And that's you painting you, right? I mean,
Yep.
that's that. What is that like? Like,
Yeah. It's
have
cool.
now let me ask you before you have you ever like done that before, just even fooling around?
Yeah, I've done self portraits not every year, but often.
Yeah.
Every couple years, I'll do one. It's fun, and it's like a tradition. I think artists do that a lot. They'll paint self portraits, and it's to me, I think it'll be fun. In 10, 20, 30 years to look back at kind of the timeline of progression of those self
Yeah.
portraits.
The evolution of Blake, as they say.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's cool. Well, maybe hopefully I'll get one of those Blake 100s in
Me
what
too.
I open, but it'll be fun to see people, as they get them. I'm sure you're going to be tagged in every one of them. You know exactly where
Yeah.
they all are. So,
Yeah.
but that'll be
I hope
fun.
so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope so.
And so you've said this yourself. You've kind of gotten into jump kind of head first into collecting yourself again due to being involved in these projects. Speak to that. What are you not to give you more competition and to buying things, but kind of where are you collecting? And obviously, I'm probably a safe bet is McGuire, but what else kind of do you look for
Yeah.
with personal collection?
Well, Mark McGuire is definitely my biggest PC. I also collect Buster Posey, who I really like. He's also in my Project 70 set. I have a couple football players that I collect, Josh Jacobs and Miles Sanders, both guys that I did done a handful of paintings for each of them. So I'm just big fans of both of them. Brandon Ayuk, who's a new, he was just a rookie for the 49ers. He's solid.
He's
Solid.
good.
Yeah. So I'm collecting. I have some cool cards of him. So I think I'm going to start a Ayuk collection. So it's a lot of everything that I collect is all just for fun. Just for myself. It's never to flip. The only cards that I sell are my own. Obviously the signed ones or not signed ones. Although I do like. My collection grew so much in 2020 and I bought so many Project 2020 cards that I might start trading those, to fill gaps that I still need to fill, or, maybe for some of these artist chase cards, if someone needs Fuji Cal Ripken or whatever that I have and they want to trade for it, then great.
Yeah. Interesting. That's awesome. Now, people don't, some people I know, but some people probably think, hey, Blake was born with the Topps Project 2020. You were an artist before that, doing work. How has like all these projects like affected some of that commission stuff or that stuff you do that's aside from that? How do you balance that out now? I mean, you're probably at an all-time busy. I think it's a safe bet to say.
Yeah, I think it's definitely it's been great for business outside of Topps is snowballs into other things. It's a household name that most of my previous clientele was already professional athletes and their agents and people related to professional sports. So those guys and girls see Topps project and it gives me credibility. And so I know that the business has grown because of that. But also, I spent a lot of time in 2020 creating art for Topps, that would get licensed to Topps. That was time that I could have spent working with other individual athletes. So I didn't paint for as many athletes in 2020 as I did the year before. But I feel like the caliber of athletes that I'm working with that are finding me and wanting to commission things is increasing. My prices increased in 2020 to kind of balance out the commission pipeline. So it's been great overall.
Yeah. We've seen one of the Project 2020 artists, Tyson Beck, kind of branch out and create his own line of basketball cards. I think he did very well with them, kind of negotiated that all on his own. Is that something maybe not right away, but somewhere down the line, could that be we see Blake Jamieson do something along those lines, or even other people? Obviously, you can only speak for yourself, but do you think we're going to see more of that, or something you would consider doing?
I would. I think, and Josh Jacobs is a great example. He's, somebody I painted for and that I do have a personal relationship with. He's a great, very talented, guy. So if I were to do a Tyson Beck-esque kind of thing, that's probably where I would try to start. I'm not in a hurry to do it because I think it's good and bad. It's good because it's, I think he did well financially on it. It's really good for his brand and awareness, and, building relationships with those basketball players. Fantastic. I do think there are repercussions that you can't go back from. So for like Panini, for example, who prints basketball cards, can't be happy about that. And so Panini probably wouldn't ever want to work with Tyson. Not necessarily that I want to work with Panini. I just don't know if I'm at a point where I want to
burn those bridges.
Burn the bridge, right? So I don't know. That's the fun thing about being an artist is there's actually so many different ways to make money from your art or spread your art into more, homes. And they're not all just straightforward creating a painting and selling it to a person, So that's been a fun thing to navigate and plan for in 2021.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. We don't, until you said it, I didn't even think of that angle, that you might, what you do, there's a ripple effect that might prevent a future collab that may be there that won't be if by doing that. So something you don't always think about in the moment, if you will, but good point by you. So coming down the home stretch, let me give out that contest word. So that contest word is going to be, I'm going to go out really outside the box here. It's going to be McGuire. McGuire is that contest word. So if you're listening to the show, private message me, email me, however you get a hold of me. I'll put whoever you are, I'll put you on that list. We'll randomize it. And again, that person on the top of the list will win that Waves 3 box courtesy of Blake. And again, thank you, Blake, and good luck everyone out there, to entering. So, kind of coming down the home stretch. I'm also, as I always do, this is your third time. This is old hat for you now, but just some closing thoughts, and then where people can get all your stuff, websites, URLs, Tops 51, whatever. No rush. Take your time. Whatever you want to talk about or give out, the floor is yours, as I always say.
Cool. Yeah, well, best place to get in contact if people want to have a question or want to chat is Twitter. I'm super active on Twitter. My handle's at Blake Jamieson. YouTube is where I stream a lot of content, and soon I'll be publishing the edited content that we talked about. There's going to be a lot more edited videos this year, which I'm super excited about. And then my website is blake.art, and that's where I sell my art and prints and collabs and signed cards. And then you can get 1951 at tops.com.
That's awesome. Yeah. And if you haven't seen Blake on YouTube, it's interesting. Sometimes he makes me very tired the next day because I get up at 4:30. So I blame you for that. Sometimes I lose track of time. I'm like, oh, I got 4 hours of sleep I can get now. So, but that's a testament to how interesting and awesome it is. And if you haven't checked that out yet, definitely, it's a kind of a behind the scenes look that not a lot of these artists, quite frankly, are letting people in. You do, and I enjoy it, and I know a lot of other people do the same. So if you haven't checked it out, make a point to go do it. The Tops 51s, again, without having them in hand, I love them. I can't wait to get my hands on them, and those are out there on Tops's website as well. So go scarf them all up. Maybe you'll pull a Blake 100. So,
yeah, awesome. Thank you, John.
All right, thank you, Blake. We'll have you on again.
Absolutely, man. Stay awesome.
All right, you too.